Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by
Secure Testing Services, providing 24-hour on-site drug and alcohol testing for businesses.
and by
Clean water is one of our most valuable resources. Conserving it should be all of our responsibility. Remember every day to make every drop count. Wash full loads, take shorter showers, turn off your faucet. Water, use it wisely. Let's commit to conserve.
Good evening and welcome to episode 2 of the 8th season of Flying Squirrels Insider. I'm Trey Wilson, he's Jake Eisenberg, and we've got a really exciting episode coming up. We're going to take a look at some education days in Funnville, talk with Parney about the upcoming Eastern League All-Star Week events. We're also going to hear from Chris Shaw and much more coming up on this second episode of our 2019 season. Utility Buddy from the City of Richmond Department of Public Utilities makes us aware that rain falls on hard surface areas can pick up pollutants and carry them to Richmond's waterways without being treated. Help keep our waterways clean. Call 646-7000 or visit richmondgov.com and click Stormwater Utility. Scratch to win free Flying Squirrel stuff. Text FSI to 63975. Message and data rates apply. Mobile services provided by Opt-in Technologies. Well, Jake, the Flying Squirrels are off and rolling with the 2019 season, one full month now in the books. April is gone, we're off to May, and the Flying Squirrels are sitting, if this was a normal season like in past years, they'd be sitting in pretty good shape, just a game and a half out of second place in the Western Division standings, but Harrisburg is off and taking off with the Western Division right now.
Yeah, they've got one of the best records in all of minor league baseball at 21-4 through the first month and day of the season. Hard to believe that we're already a month through this 2019 season, but here we are in May, and the Flying Squirrels, yeah, just, what is it, a game and a half out of second place? That's pretty good. You'll take that.
In previous years, the way that it lined up with the full season, the teams would play obviously the full 140 games and the top 2 teams from each division would make the playoffs. Well, this year, a little bit new setup in the Eastern League. The teams will play a split season, so at a certain point, the season standings will reset. The first half champion and the second half champions are how we will determine our playoff teams for this year. So in the first half, a little bit of ground to make up for the Flying Squirrels, but plenty of time to do it. And if not, the record's reset about halfway through the year.
Yeah, you've got a whole month and a half until the first half of this season ends in mid-June. Then a clean slate for the second half, and well, we'll see the Flying Squirrels playing some postseason baseball maybe in mid-September.
And especially if they can keep up what they've done offensively of late. But for a little while, that wasn't really the case. There was a 6-game losing streak where the Flying Squirrels hit 126 from April 20th through 26th, scored just 5 runs over 6 games and got shut out 3 times. And then things turned around. The last 5 games since last Saturday, the team's hitting .279. They've scored 28 runs. That's almost 5 runs per game.
And the biggest reason has been a power surge for this Richmond Flying Squirrels team. The home runs have been flying out of the ballpark left and right over the last 5 games for Richmond. 12 home runs, and yesterday a 4-homer game.
And that's pretty wild because through April 14th of this season, the Flying Squirrels were one of just 4 teams in all of minor league baseball that did not have 1 home run. And now, as we sit here just at the beginning of May, the Flying Squirrels now have 21 home runs, and all of those since April 15th, which puts them up near the top of the Eastern League.
Yeah, it's been pretty incredible to watch this Flying Squirrels team just continue to bash home runs left and right. 4 games of 3 or more home runs for the Flying Squirrels this season, and then the 4-homer game tying a franchise record against the Bowie Bay Sox to wrap up the series.
That's the first time since 2016 that the Flying Squirrels have had a 4-home-run game. It was a leadoff home run by Jacob Hayward on the very first pitch of the game. He homered again later, followed by a Brock Stassi home run. They went back-to-back, the first back-to-back homers this season for the Flying Squirrels. And then later in the game, Chris Shaw went deep. So the power has been there, certainly on the road for the Flying Squirrels through the first month of the season. A little bit tougher at home, but that's part of playing baseball at the Diamond.
Sure, the Diamond's a little bit more expansive than some of the other parks across the Eastern League. Bowie in particular, Reading, those are ballparks where the ball tends to fly a little bit more, and certainly the Flying Squirrels are going to have a chance to play more games at those ballparks as the season continues, but now trying to bring that power surge back to RVA.
And part of that over these last few games, we touched on it briefly just a moment ago, but Jacob Hayward, who was on the injured list for a few weeks, homered in his last game before he got hurt, came back, and on the very first pitch that he saw in that game against Bowie in the series finale, his first game off the IL, he went deep. Yeah,
he really wasted no time getting right back into literally the swing of things. Jacob Hayward, very first pitch he saw coming off the injured list, hit a home run. And that was after, as Trey said, in his last game back on April 22nd against the Fightin' Phils, it was a 418-foot missile over the center field fence. That was his first AA home run. And, well, Hayward hit a couple of home runs in his first game off the IL. He's now got 3 home runs this season. And, well, if he had enough at-bats or plate appearances to qualify, he'd be leading the Eastern League in pretty much all of AA baseball in on-base percentage, a couple of other advanced metrics offensively. He has been having an otherworldly season so far, and I think we're seeing a breakout year for Hayward.
Yeah, he could certainly be a name to watch that maybe didn't have as much notoriety on him coming into this year as some of the other players. One of the players who had plenty of notoriety is a return player who has Major League experience from last year, Chris Shaw. He's been on the power train as well. He had a home run for the second straight game in the series finale out in Bowie. Yeah,
now back-to-back games for Chris Shaw with a home run. And as Trey mentioned, a guy with big league experience. He was up with the San Francisco Giants for a month last year, playing in AA for the first time since 2017. And it was a little bit of a slow start for him, but now that he's found his stroke once again, we're seeing why Chris Shaw is the prospect he is and why he was in the big leagues last year.
There's another player on this team with some previous Major League experience in Brock Stassi. And Stassi had been playing off the bench for a few games. He hadn't been starting a whole lot, but I think his bats kind of forced his way into the lineup, and he added another home run in that finale on Wednesday, part of that 4-homer game.
Yeah, no doubt. He went back-to-back with Jacob Hayward in that series finale against the Bay Sox. And after not starting for a few games, once he's been back in the lineup, he's been outstanding. Right in the middle of the order, he's batted second, he's batted third. He's hitting over 400 over his last 4 games. Only 3 of those were starts. One of them he came off the bench and part of a double switch. But Brock Stassi's found his stroke, much like Chris Shaw has.
And maybe a little bit more surprising from a power standpoint. I'm sure if you asked him, he'd say it's no surprise at all. But Jalen Miller is leading the team in home runs. He's up to the top of the league in homers at this point this year.
Yeah, 5 home runs for him. That's top 10 in the Eastern League. And we've seen Jalen Miller's bat in the middle of the order, which maybe was something you didn't expect when this season began, especially with guys like Chris Shaw and Brock Stassi on the roster to start the season. But Jalen Miller's hasn't just been doing it at the plate. He's been doing it on the bases, too. 6 steals for him. That's also top 5 in the Eastern League.
Maybe not so much a surprise, but a great turnaround story on what we've seen so far in 2019. Jonah Arenado, he played for the Flying Squirrels last year. He battled some injuries throughout the year. He hit 200 for the season, but that's not been the case to start the 2019 season. He's been one of the hottest bats, not only for the Flying Squirrels, but in the entire circuit.
Yeah, top 10 in the Eastern League in both batting average and on-base percentage. And when you look at the differences between what Jonah Arenado was able to do last year in the month of April and what he's been able to do this year in the month of April, it's really been a huge leap forward for him. Hitting coach Francisco Morales was talking about what's made Jonah Arenado a little bit different this season. And the biggest thing that he said was it's all about Arenado's mindset. Totally changed this year, his second year playing for the Flying Squirrels, and it's made a huge difference.
There are several players who have carried on offensive success through much of the season, and that's what we've seen with the guys that we've talked about so far. But with this offensive turnaround for the Flying Squirrels in the past 5 or so games, there are also some guys who had some slow starts to the season who were starting to see the wheels turn a little bit. And we start with that category talking about Johneshwy Fargas.
Johneshwy Fargas. Willie Harris called him maybe one of the most underrated players on this Flying Squirrels roster on our first episode of Flying Squirrels Insider, and we're starting to see that take shape. He's now been on base in 7 straight games, and from what we've seen with his speed, whenever he gets on base, something's going to happen. It's exciting. He can fly.
Another player who had a lot of success in San Jose last year, we had some expectations for him coming into this season. Heath Quinn has been off to he had a slow start to start the season, but he's starting to pick things up here on the backside of the last road trip.
Yeah, he's working on a lengthy on-base streak as well, trying to really find his feet at the AA level. Hit his first home run at the AA level in Bowie this past week, and we're starting to see Heath Quinn's bat heat up a little bit too.
Another player who's returning with plenty of experience, he's an Eastern League All-Star last season with Binghamton, Levi Michael, first-round pick years ago by the Twins at the University of North Carolina, and he was okay, he was hitting well to start the season, then he hit a slow stretch, an 0 for 22 stretch, but now things are starting to get rolling for Levi Michael.
Yeah, since Levi Michaels snapped that over 22 skid, he's 6 for his last 16. And this is what you expect from a guy who's played in the Eastern League before, was an all-star in this league last year, made it up to AAA to start this season. He's going to be a presence in the lineup that brings a level of experience that some guys just don't have yet.
So for Francisco Morales, the hitting coach for the Flying Squirrels, and of course Willie Harris and Lipso Nava, who have a hand on the offensive side as well, after a very slow offensive start to the season, they've got to be awfully encouraged by what they've seen from the bats over the last week or so.
Oh, absolutely. And you could tell in Altoona, which is when this power surge and when this kind of hitting spree started for the Flying Squirrels, that they were just waiting for a breakthrough. We saw Willie Harris jumble the lineup, tossing Chris Shaw in the leadoff spot, having a couple of guys bat in positions that they haven't really had a ton of experience hitting in before, and that did wonders. Once you shake up that mindset a little bit and put guys in positions maybe they're not as comfortable with, good things happen. Willie Harris has been pushing all the right buttons so far.
Along those lines, I think about Hamlet Marte, Flying Squirrels catcher. He was off to a pretty slow start at the plate as well. Willie Harris, the type of manager who he showed confidence in his guy when he was 0 for whatever at that point, 0 for the season at that point. Willie put him in the number 2 spot in the lineup. Marte went out and delivered 2 hits, and that's one of the things that has helped to kickstart this offense for the Flying Squirrels. From a pitching standpoint, the Flying Squirrels started off the season as one of the best pitching teams in the league. Things have kind of rounded back into a more normal form, but the rotation has still been very solid so far, and the first person that we think of with how things have gone so far this season is a strikeout man in Connor Menez.
Connor Menez has 31 strikeouts this year. His slider has just been carving up opposing hitters, especially lefties. Big left-handed arm, Connor Menez, with those 31 strikeouts, and he's just been Mr. Consistency through this first month of April. 5 starts for him. He's holding opposing hitters to a 200 batting average, which is near the tops in the league.
Garrett Williams was with the Flying Squirrels last season. He had a bit of a struggle of a year. He started off in the starting rotation, a lot of trouble with walks. They moved him into the bullpen for the second half of the year. Well, he's back in the starting rotation for the 2019 season, and we have seen some very promising results, especially when it comes to him limiting walks.
Yeah, take a look at these numbers. 5 walks for Garrett Williams through his first 5 starts this season. Last year, he had 63 walks in almost 82 innings. So he's done a much better job limiting those free passes, and we've seen a couple of starts for him that haven't had any walks at all.
And another member of the rotation, Logan Webb, who was off to an outstanding start. He's going to be gone for 80 games. He got suspended, but it could be a good addition as well for the Flying Squirrels in the second half, but he's been one of the top pitchers in the league. We look at the bullpen. Melvin Adon, one of the biggest arms you'll find in all of minor league baseball, 100-plus mile-per-hour fastball. A little rocky to start the year, but man, he's really reined things in here of late.
I mean, when you have a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, it's just a matter of knowing where it's going, and Melvin Adon is starting to figure that out, and he's been getting a lot of chances to do that. Leads the team in appearances, and well, when you're throwing that hard and you can mix in the nasty slider that he has, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare for anyone who's standing in either batter's box.
And in the back end of the bullpen as well, we've seen Sam Wolf, who the numbers weren't great last year with the Flying Squirrels, but starting off his 2019 season back in Richmond, he's been a great stopper in the backside of the bullpen.
Yeah, he's got 2 saves so far this season. That's tied with Melvin Adon for the team lead through this month and a day or so. And Sam Wolf, that ERA 1.13 through the month of April, and he's been a guy that's been relied on the back end of the bullpen to close out ball games, and that's what Richmond's needed from both him and Melvin Adon and from some of the other bullpen arms.
It was a bit of a rough slide through mid-April, but the Flying Squirrels closed out the month strong and have some good momentum going into the month of May as we roll through this 2019 season. As we roll through this episode of Flying Squirrels Insider, we're going to take a look at an education day in Funnville. The school kids come out, field trip groups come out. We start the games bright and early in the morning, and it's a fun time every time we get one of those education days out at the Diamond. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Education Day this morning here in Funnville. And I'm here with Connor Overton, Brock Stassi, a couple members of these Richmond Flying Squirrels. Is there a subject that you wish you'd pay a little more attention to when you were in school?
Probably math, honestly. Yeah. Just looking back, because you actually do end up using it way more than you think you will at the time.
What was your favorite subject when you were growing up?
Probably history. I like learning about the past and what went on in the past, and there's a lot of good stories.
What traits do you feel a student needs in order to accomplish their goals?
You got to be willing to learn for sure, and you got to have an open mindset going into the classroom, and that's the only way you can really grow.
I'd like to welcome to Flying Squirrels Insider, the one, the only, Parney. How you doing today?
What's up, Richmond? Trey, what's happening, buddy?
I can't be more excited to get this season, continue rolling through this season. So another big story this season is the All-Star game, of course. And it's not just the All-Star game, the way that we have things set up and the way things are going to go this year. It's an All-Star week, and there's so much going on starting with Sunday night.
Well, most teams do a two-night All-Star event, and we have so much that we're proud of here in Richmond and so much that we want to show and promote that ours is 4 nights. We did this not because we wanted to be the baseball team in the mix. We did this because we feel like Richmond, Virginia is a showcase city. Richmond, Virginia is the type of city that people in the East League need to come to, not only for this event, but for to visit, on a recurring basis. And when we started looking at the events, LeVar Stoney, the Mayor Stoney's All-Star kickoff at Browns Island. Browns Island is a place where Richmonders go to recreate, and I think that'll be a good starting point. All-Star Country Music Jam at Richmond Raceway with Big and Rich gets Henrico County and also the Richmond sports community involved with Richmond Raceway and Dennis Bickmeyer and his folks. Tuesday Celebrity Home Run Derby will do even more of that because it's here at the ballpark in the city, but we're going to have different representatives as celebrities from all the different entities, not only in town, but all throughout the East Coast. And the Home Run Derby has a few specific positive nuances that will make it a legendary All-Star event. And then, of course, on Wednesday is the game. And it's so funny when I do a lot of speeches about All-Star Week, by the time I get to Wednesday, people's eyes are popping out of their head. And I say, oh, on Wednesday we have the game. And it's like kind of like, oh, the game's the last thing we talk about. But that's kind of how we've done this franchise. Baseball is a necessary thing, and baseball is obviously important. But we do so much other things around the baseball that the baseball is a part of it, but it's not the key thing. And I don't mean that with any disrespect to the Willie or the players at all. Without baseball, we wouldn't have a job, we wouldn't have a team. But it's about everything for us. It's not just about the baseball. It's not singular. It's very multiple for us. And I think the All-Star event is going to be that. And we termed the All-Star Week the next big thing, and I certainly believe it's going to be the next big thing here in the Richmond region.
I know I'm excited about it. Everybody that I talk to is excited about it. Sunday, July 7th, we're going to have Mayor Stoney's All-Star Kickoff Celebration at Browns Island. The following night, of course, Big and Rich, Cowboy Troy, DJ Sinister at Virginia Credit Union Live at Richmond Raceway. Tickets are on sale for that right now. The Home Run Derby, Celebrity Home Run Derby, and the Funnville Fan Fest that you mentioned is going to be on Tuesday night, July the 9th, and then July 10th, it's the Eastern League All-Star Game.
See, it's a lot when you get to the end there. You're like, oh, the game's going to be on Wednesday.
And for any information on that, you can go to squirrelsbaseball.com/all-star. We'll have more to announce as that gets closer as we go throughout the season with some more of the details that go along with some of those nights.
And I would say that if you haven't gotten your tickets to the Home Run Derby and the game, you need to do that now. We're already selling tickets in the upper deck. Of course, the concert is a general admission show, so even though you don't think that has sense of urgency because it's a GA show, it does have sense of urgency because at some point we're going to run out of tickets for that.
Right. That's right. Squirrelsbaseball.com/all-star, July 7th through 10th. 2019, the Eastern League All-Star Week presented by Genworth. Nobody's ever done it as big as we're going to see it done this year, and these guys have worked so hard to put on an entertaining and fun week. Thanks to Parney for stopping by, giving us a little season introduction chat. So much going on this year. We'll be talking to you again pretty soon.
Have fun, go nuts, everybody.
We're here with Flying Squirrels outfielder Chris Shaw, and we've got a giveaway coming up as part of the 10 memorable Flying Squirrels players promotion, the Shawsome t-shirt coming up this Tuesday at the Diamond. Have you seen it? What'd you think of it when you got to see it?
I have seen it. I like it. It's it's kind of me in my pre-pitch stance, so it's cool. It's something that Parney talked to me about during the off season, so I'm excited for it.
Where did the Shawsome nickname come from?
Yeah, so probably like my sophomore year of high school, I had a Twitter account that I made, and my old Twitter name, I don't even remember what it was, but it didn't make a whole lot of sense. It was just kind of stupid, and my uncle works in marketing and kind of media stuff, so he came up with the idea and ran with it, and it kind of caught on from there.
How long ago was this? When did the Shawsome nickname come around?
God, I've probably had it for, I don't know, 8 years now.
It seems pretty obvious, right? Shawsome,
yeah,
get the name in there. Good personal branding.
Yeah, my brother is Shawthenticity.
Oh, that's good
so,
too.
Yeah.
That's good too.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy play on words.
Well, the first 1,500 fans, 15 and older, on this Tuesday at the Diamond take home a Chris Shawsome t-shirt. He's off to a hot start at the plate this season. Another home run today here in Bowie when we're taping this little conversation. Yeah. That's a pretty good run of games you got going with the Squirrels right now.
Yeah, I just try and keep it simple. And I've said it before. This league's really tough if you try and get ahead of yourself and try and make things happen. And it sounds cliche, but it really is a situation where you have to take it day to day, at bat to at bat, and just have faith that the numbers will be there at the end.
Thanks so much, Chris. Shawsome t-shirt giveaway, first 1,500 fans, 15 and older, this Tuesday at the Diamond. We'll see you there.
Back on April 23rd, the Richmond Flying Squirrels welcomed an old friend back to the Diamond. Parker the Rally Pig was in town. He retired just a few seasons ago, but was part of so many magical comebacks for the Richmond Flying Squirrels. So he came back to the Diamond to have a little retirement party.
Hello, Richmond and beyond out there. It's your old pal Parker the Rally Pig. It was such a pleasure coming back to the Diamond to celebrate the joy of retirement with all my fellow gray squirrels. I gotta tell you folks, retirement has been treating me very well indeed. Life on the farm is fabulous. Caught some extra Z's, put on a couple of pounds, even met some nice lady sows. Living my best life. I have more hay than I could ever sleep on, more mud than I could ever splash in, and all the carrots I could ever eat. Good times. That said, being back out there at the Diamond brought back some beautiful memories. 10 years. Hard to believe it's been that long. I've loved this team since Parney plucked me out of the litter at the pig picking contest. That Parney, he saw something in this little piggy. Something that could lead mere men to become ball players. Something to inspire a team to greatness beyond their limits. Not to snort my own snout, but back when I was on the field for the old red and black, we won over 70% of the time. Yeah, Ted Williams didn't have a lifetime batting average nearly half so good, and Babe Ruth couldn't eat half as many hot dogs as me either. Ha! There is not a mascot in all of baseball history that can say that. And even though we never won the big one, I got no regrets. My favorite moments were the times I spent meeting with the young fans, seeing the excitement in their little faces when it was rally time. I loved helping raise money for local youth sports by sharing my sloppy kisses. It was my greatest privilege helping nurture the new ball players. And those young men were good enough to humor an old hog as he imparted his considerable wisdom. Some of them even learned a thing or two. Y'all may remember that few minutes of semi-international notoriety I earned from my famous sprint across the park that made ESPN's Top 10. Da-na-na, da-na-na, the ESPN. You know, no big deal. But I digress. I wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the well wishes and love you shared with me. You, the fans, let me, some pig, experience the intoxication of being a public spectacle. I love this city. I love this team. And even though retirement is great, if you need me, you know, I will be there. Thank you. Go nuts, Richmond. Go nuts.
So great to have Parker the Rally Pig back at the ballpark. All the fans so excited to see him. And he brought some mojo back to the team. The Flying Squirrels have won 3 of their last 5 games, Trey.
Starting to get things rolling and at a good time as we've gone 1 month into the season and plenty more baseball action left to come up throughout 2019. That's a wrap for the 2nd episode of this season of Flying Squirrels Insider. Thanks to the entire crew over here. We will talk to you again in a couple weeks.
Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by
Secure Testing Services, providing 24-hour on-site drug and alcohol testing for businesses. And by
Smell gas? Act fast. Don't just stand there. Leave the area. Get out. Go where the smell is no longer present and call 911. Making you aware, keeping you safe. We're Richmond's Natural Gas Safety Awareness Program.